Hello friends, welcome to Dungeons & Dragonfly, where I adapt various characters for use in D&D. I'm Dragonfly9078, and today's request comes from Milo on Patreon. This is Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. Thinking about goals for the build, we need to be limitless. Gojo's power revolves around the concept of infinity, so that's what we'll aim for, particularly his trick of being untouchable. We also need hand-to-hand skills, and to be able to enhance our fighting with our magic. For ability scores, I'll be using the standard point array. Multiclassing minimums are strength and intelligence, so keep an eye on those if you're rolling at home. Intelligence is number 1, we are a teacher after all. Then strength is 14 for better punching. Dexterity's next, we're punchy but we're also speedy. And wisdom is 12. We don't need it for anything in particular, and honestly constitution should probably be higher, but I figured if we're going to be fighting with a blindfold, we probably shouldn't have bad perception. Constitution is lower than I'd like, but Gojo's whole thing is that he doesn't take hits, so we don't need super high HP. And we'll dump Charisma. He's a charming enough dude, I guess, but we just don't need it for anything, really. Gojo is human, but he's a sorcerer human, so variant human it is. We get +1 to 2 stats, so even out intelligence and dexterity, along with proficiency in perception to see through the blindfold, and the mobile feat. That'll increase our speed by 10, let us ignore difficult terrain when we dash, and make it so we don't trigger attacks of opportunity from creatures that we make melee attacks against. Gojo's special eyes apparently let him see the world in terms of things like mass and acceleration, so we'll make him a Quandrix student, since they're the ones who do magic with math. That gives us Arcana and Nature proficiency, along with the list of Quandrix spells that are added to the lists of any of our spellcasting classes, as well as the Strixhaven Initiate feat for free. Now we have to pick Quandrix for the feat, so we'll pick up the Guidance and Mage Hand cantrips, along with Thunder Wave for a nice little Repulsion Blast. We can cast that once per day for free, and with any of our spell slots as well. Pick Intelligence as the spellcasting ability, of course, since our Wisdom and Charisma are not great. We'll start off with a quick dip into Fighter, giving us proficiency with Intimidation and Acrobatics, along with Constitution saves for any concentration checks we need to make later on. Second Wind uses our magic to heal ourselves, restoring 1d10 plus our fighter level HP as a bonus action once per rest. And we'll take the Unarmed fighting style. Our unarmed strikes deal a d6 plus our strength, or a d8 if we aren't holding a weapon or a shield, and we can deal a d4 each turn to a creature we have grappled. And second level fighters get Action Surge, letting us take a second action on our turn once per rest. But Gojo is primarily a sorcerer, so now we'll jump over to, what else? Wizard. Wizards get Arcane Recovery, letting them regain spell slots on a short rest once per day. They can get back slots with a total level up to half their wizard level, but none of those can be over 5th level. Wizards also get a bunch of spells, 2 every level in fact, and we're getting a bunch of wizard levels, so I'm not going to go through every spell we can take. I'll just hit on some that are in character and, you can fill out the rest. For cantrips, Thunderclap and Blade Ward seem the most in character, so let's go with those. And Booming Blade is a good attack cantrip. It technically doesn't work with unarmed strikes though, so if your DM isn't cool with it, maybe go for Shocking Grasp instead. For first level spells, I already touched on Thunder Wave briefly, and then Jump and Long Strider are standard enhancements. Mage Armor is an early version of Gojo's Don't Touch Me field, though we actually have proficiency with all armor, so those might be better options. And Shield and Absorb Elements are both reactions we can take to help avoid damage. We also want Silvery Barbs, a reaction we can take when a creature succeeds on an attack, ability check, or save, forcing them to re-roll the d20 and take the lower number. Then give us or an ally advantage on our next attack, ability check, or save. At second level, we'll become a Theurge, which is to say, a hybrid between a wizard and a cleric. We get access to a bunch of features from a specific cleric domain, and access to cleric spells as long as we learn the domain spells first. My pick for our domain is the Strength domain. Our domain spells here are Divine Favor, which lets our weapon attacks deal an extra 1d4 radiant damage for up to a minute, and Shield of Faith, which gives us or an ally +2 AC for up to 10 minutes. Now we have the proficiency for Full Plate and we'll have the strength for it later on, so stack this with Full Plate and the Shield spell for 25 AC. We can only take one domain spell per level though, so take whichever one you prefer and save the other one for 3rd level. More importantly, Theurgers get Channel Arcana, which lets us use the Channel Divinity option of our domain, along with the Theurge-specific option, Divine Arcana. As a bonus action, we can use our Channel Arcana to add +2 to our next spell attack roll or to the spell save DC of our next spell. And the Strength domain gives us Feat of Strength, letting us use our Channel Arcana to add 10 to an attack, ability check, or save that we make that uses strength. We can choose to do so after we see the roll, but before the DM says if it succeeds or not. Just like a Cleric's Channel Divinity, we can use our Channel Arcana once per rest, and then we get more uses as we level up. Speaking of leveling up, 3rd level. All we get here is 2nd level spells. We'll grab whichever domain spell you didn't take at 2nd level, and we can sneak in a second one since Enhance Ability is one of our 2nd level domain spells, and happens to also be on the wizard list. Our first ASI will bump our intelligence up to 18, and we'll grab our 2nd domain spell for 2nd level spells, Protection from Poison, as well as the Gust cantrip. For other 2nd level spells that Gojo might like, Hold Person, Levitate, and Misty Step are all decent, and Vortex Warp is one of our Quandrix spells, letting us teleport a creature that isn't us, that is within 90 feet of us, to another point that's also within 90 feet of us. They can go along with the spell if they want, but if they aren't willing to, then they need to make a Constitution save to try to resist it. 5th level gives us 3rd level spells, and both of our domain spells are actually on the wizard list this time, Haste and Protection from Energy, both of which are in character for Gojo too, being an enhancement for his physical fighting capabilities and a defensive option to deal with enemy sorcerers. Nice how that works out. 6th level Theurgers can channel Arcana twice between rests and get the 1st level benefits of their domain, not including any weapon or armor proficiencies. So we get proficiency in Athletics and the Resistance cantrip, to boost saving throws like Guidance does ability checks. Helps keep enemy powers off of us, and of course off of our beloved students. Now, since we've learned all of our domain spells that we have access to, we can just learn a regular cleric spell instead. I think. The wording is a little ambiguous. It might mean that we can pick regular cleric spells after we've learned literally all of the domain spells for that domain, but that's not how I read it, and we'll get to that point anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. What I'm trying to say is we're taking Sanctuary. This is our Don't Touch Me field. It casts as a bonus action, and for 1 minute, any creature that attacks us or targets us with a harmful spell has to make a Wisdom save. On a fail, they have to retarget or waste the attack or spell. It does break early if we attack, affect an enemy with a spell, or deal damage to a creature, but we'll deal with that eventually too. For other 3rd level spells, Counterspell is probably the most important, since it lets us shut down things that can pass through Sanctuary, like Fireball and other AoE spells. But there's also Dispel Magic and Remove Curse, along with Slow and Spirit Shroud to reduce enemy capabilities, since Limitless is all about slowing things down with the infinity between spaces, as well as Pulse Wave, a 30-foot cone of force that either pushes or pulls everything in its area, along with dealing damage. For 4th level spells at 7th level, Stone Skin is a domain spell that makes us even harder to damage, especially for people who aren't even magical, and it's on the wizard list, so we can grab our other domain spell, Dominate Beast, as well. Our next ASI will cap off our intelligence, and we can grab any 4th level or lower wizard or cleric spell, though we can't get more than one cleric spell. For cleric options, freedom of movement is useful, though we do have mobile to ignore difficult terrain, and there's also some reversed cursed energies spells we could pick up, like Cure Wounds and Luster Restoration. For wizard options, my pick here is Gravity Sinkhole, which makes a 20-foot radius sphere of force that pulls creatures to the center and deals force damage if they fail a Constitution save. At 9th level, we can pick up Destructive Wave from our domain, creating a 30-foot radius burst around us that knocks enemies prone and deals thunder and our choice of either radiant or necrotic damage if they fail a Constitution save, as well as 5th level wizard spells like Hold Monster, Wall of Force, and Far Step. 10th level Theurges can use the 6th level benefit of their domain, which for us is Ronus's Blessing. It's not much, it just kind of lets us use our feat of strength to boost a different creature's strength check, save, or attack, not just our own. Still, good tool for a teacher, and really all I wanted from being a Theurge was Sanctuary, so anything else is gravy. We can take our last domain spell at this level, which is Insect Plague, but it's not really in character, and I don't really want any of the other cleric spells, so take it if you want more cleric spells, or if you take the approach that you need all of the domain spells before learning other cleric spells, but otherwise you can just give it a miss. It's not really for us. We get another cantrip too, so let's go with Light. We do have special eyes, but they are still human eyes, so we do still need light to see. 11th level gives us 6th level spells, and oh boy do we have some fun ones. First up is Tensor's Transformation, which makes us a much better fighter by giving us 50 temporary HP, 2 attacks with the attack action, advantage on attacks with simple and martial weapons, which doesn't technically include unarmed strikes but really should, and an extra 2d12 force damage whenever we hit with a weapon attack, which does include unarmed strikes. We can't cast spells while the spell is up, and we have to make a DC 15 con save when it ends or get a level of exhaustion, but we do have proficiency in con saves, so that's a little bit easier. We also get the first taste of our domain expansion with Psychic Crush. We overload our target's mind, dealing 12d6 psychic damage and stunning them for a minute if they fail an intelligence save. That's not concentration based, by the way. They can try to make an intelligence save at the end of their turn to end the spell, but otherwise it lasts the full minute, and we can put up a Tensor's Transformation to destroy them while they're stunned. To help out with that, we'll bump our strength to 16 with our third ASI, and pick up some other 6th level spells like Fizban's Platinum Shield, a protective barrier that gives us evasion, half cover, and a bunch of damage resistances, and Gravity Fissure, a 100-foot long, 5-foot wide line of force that deals 8d8 force damage to every creature in it and within 10 feet of it, and pulls them toward the center line if they fail a Constitution save. I don't want many 7th level spells at 13th level, but I would like Teleport since that's something Gojo can do, and Force Cage is another good invisible barrier. 14th level Theurges get their domain's 17th level ability, which for us is Avatar of Battle, giving us resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. It's basically just permanent stone skin. And for 8th level spells, we'll take Dark Star to create a sphere of crushing force that blocks out all light and sound. Creatures that enter it or start their turn in it have to make a Constitution save or take 8d10 force damage. For bonus points, anything reduced to 0 HP by the spell is just full-on disintegrated. We get one last ASI, so bump strength to 18, then move on to 9th level spells at 17th level for Psychic Scream, an upgraded version of our domain expansion. We can overload the minds of up to 10 creatures within 90 feet, dealing 14d6 psychic damage and stunning them if they fail an intelligence save. They can repeat their save each turn to end the stunning effect, but the effect doesn't actually have a duration, so they're stunned until they succeed on the save. And if the damage from the spell kills them, their heads explode. We'll also grab Ravenous Void, which makes a 20-foot radius sphere of force that pulls things toward it. Every turn, any creatures within 100 feet of the sphere make a strength save or be pulled toward the center. If they enter the actual 20-foot radius sphere, or start their turn in it, they take 5d10 force damage and are restrained. They can try to get out of the restraint with a strength check, but they still have to get more than 100 feet from the sphere, or it all starts again. And if they're reduced to 0 HP, then they're just completely annihilated. Our capstone is the 18th level of Wizard for Spell Mastery, letting us pick one first and one second level wizard spell to effectively become cantrips for us, so we can cast them an unlimited number of times without using spell slots. This is why we needed to go Theurge. I did consider doing School of Abjuration, and the abilities for that were actually really good for Gojo, but there was no other way to get Sanctuary as a wizard spell in our spellbook. Any feat that let us grab it, like Magic Initiate or even Strixhaven Initiate, just let us cast it with our spell slots. It didn't add it to our spellbook and count it as a wizard spell, which is what is required for spell mastery. With unlimited sanctuaries per day, we can cast it every turn with our bonus action, then break it on the next turn by attacking or casting a spell. And our big enhancement spells like Haste and Tensor's Transformation don't break it until we actually attack. And with the exception of Tensor, since it doesn't let us cast spells, we can refresh the sanctuary after we do. Plus, we have spells like Shield and Silvery Barbs in case they actually pass their save to attack us, though Silvery Barbs will end Sanctuary since it affects an enemy. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, though, so I'll just say that our Spell Mastery spells are Sanctuary for the first level, and I'd say either Hold Person or Misty Step for the second level. Also, since we're 18th level, we can use our Channel Arcana a third time between rests. So now that we're done, how'd we do? Well, like I was saying, we are incredibly hard to hit, with limitless casts of Sanctuary to protect us, and reaction spells if they manage to get through the Sanctuary. As a bonus, we can even use our Divine Arcana to make the save DC to hit us through our Sanctuary 21, since we have a capped intelligence modifier. Plus, we have full armor proficiency. And we have incredible damage potential, with big AoEs that can lock down and destroy huge areas. And we have enhancement spells to do big damage to single targets. If we stun a creature, we can put on Tensor's Transformation, then Action Surge, to hit them with 4 attacks, all with advantage, for a total of 4d8 plus 8d12 plus 16 damage. For cons, well, let's just say it's a good thing we're hard to hit because we do not have HP. We have 18 wizard hit dice and no constitution modifiers, so we're sitting somewhere around 80 health. And the ability to cast Sanctuary every turn is great, but bear in mind that we can't cast it in the same turn as we cast a non-cantrip spell. So if we're using all of our magic on defending, we're not really attacking. And if we're not attacking, then we're probably gonna lose. At least until we just, shut down their brain, explode their head, and annihilate them until there's nothing left, because that's a thing we can do. I hope you enjoyed the build. If you have any feedback or suggestions for characters you'd like to see me build, please let me know. Thanks again to Milo for the request, and thank you all for watching, friends. I will see y'all later.